Hey guys, how you doing? Let's see here. Let's give this a second. How you guys doing? Let's just see how we're doing here. All right. So, how you guys doing? Happy Thursday. So we are going to do a live here today, and I thought it would be kind of nice to do a live on goodbyes because many of you that follow me have had to say goodbye to somebody that you love very much. Am I right? And I know for me personally, I've had to say goodbye to those that I love as well. And so I know that this perhaps could be a topic that we can all relate to. So I just want to see really quickly, just gonna let a couple people load. Help me see. Hang on a second. There we go. Okay, here we go. Hiya. It sounds choppy. Let's see. Good afternoon, beautiful Monica. Glad to see you. Thank you, darling. Okay, perfect. So I just want to see how I'm in a new location today. So hello, Instagram. Hello, Facebook. We're going to get going in a moment. I just want to wait for just a couple more people to try to load. For many of you guys that follow me, regularly, you know that I was away last week in Europe, preparing a funeral with my husband and his family in Europe for his mother. And so it kind of brought up a lot of things again, because, we've had funerals. I've had other funerals with others that I've lost. And I thought maybe it would be a good topic to kind of talk about saying goodbye and what that means to all of us. And I'm just gonna get going in just a minute. I'm gonna put my glasses on for just a second. Okay, perfect. So I can see you guys. Hey Sarah, hey Evie, hey Sherry, hey Cassie, hello Tanya, how are you? Hey Bethy, how are you? JPC6565 joined, thank you. Let me just send you guys a wave really quick. Let's just see here. Thanks you guys for joining. We're gonna get going. Hey Cassie. Hi Joyce, hi Marilyn, hello Rosie, hello Arlene. Hi Madalisa, how are you? Hi Sandy, darling. Hello Sally. Hi Jackie, nice to see you, sweetheart. Hi Judy, how are you? Hi Judy, how's it going? Hi Diane. Hi everybody, thanks for joining. Thanks everybody on Instagram for being here as well. So I'm going to share with you a quick tip before we kind of get going into this live about saying goodbye. I traveled to Europe and, we had to go to Europe very, very quick. We had to make arrangements very, very fast and get on the first flight out. And, that required taking connecting flights and things like that. And so we spent, and the new rule now, I don't know where you are, but where we are, we have to wear masks again. And in airports, we have to wear masks, and in airplanes. And with connecting flights, we spent about 25 hours wearing a mask. And that's no easy task, even for those who are totally fine with wearing a mask and have no problem. 25 hours in a mask is tough. And so I learned a trick. So I'm going to share my trick. So if any of you guys have to wear a mask a lot, or you find it difficult, or your face kind of breaks out because you have to wear a mask a lot, I'm just going to kind of share. So what I did, and this was a cotton mask that I kind of had. And what I did is I got the mask wet. So I put it under the sink and I got it wet, and then I wrung it out, and then I sprayed it with like cucumber mist or rose water mist or something like that, and I sprayed it, and then I put it on, and I'm telling you, total game changer, complete game changer. Not only was I feeling and staying hydrated with the mask because of the spray I put on it, the rose water spray or the cucumber mist, but the mask was moist and wet, so it didn't it prevented me from getting hot, so I didn't break out. So just try it. I mean, for kicks and giggles, give it a try and see if you don't feel a difference and find that wearing the mask is more enjoyable and more bearable. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, a half hour, an hour, okay. But 25 hours in a mask is tough. So anyway, it really made the experience a lot easier. So obviously when I find something that works really beautiful for me and something that I feel really does add value, I always like to share. So that's my sharing tip for the day. What do you guys think? Hello, Sandy Thompson. Hi, Lori. Hi, Anne. You're welcome, darling. Hello, Kathy. Hello to you. Hi, Tanya. Hi, Monica. So nice to see you. How do you like living in Vegas so far? Sorry about your loss. Glad to see you are back safely. Yes, I will tell you, we flew Delta and it was a beautiful experience. And so it was wonderful and it was just long. And I'm loving Vegas very much. Love, love, love it. And I actually just had a girlfriend that came into town on Monday. So I flew in Sunday night, and Monday I had a girlfriend come, and she stayed with me a few nights, and she just left today. And so, and actually today I'm actually in a new location, so I'm traveling here again. So I am logging in from a new location. So anyway, that's why the background looks different and everything. So I had a few three nights with my girlfriend, and that was really wonderful. So yes, loving Vegas, and she felt very comfortable in my home and loved the bed, and it was perfect. So it was great. Good girl time. Okay, let's see. Hi, Tanya Vergara. Hello, honey. Hi, Lynn. Evie says, thanks for sharing the good tips with the mask. It really does make a difference. I'm telling you, it was a game changer for me. So, you try it, see if you like it. Tina says, hi, Monica. So nice to see you. How do you like? Oh, wait. Sorry. I just read that. Duh. Sorry. Hi, Jackie. I love your lashes. Thank you, sweetheart. I started doing, oh, here's another tip. Okay, and then we're going to get into the live, I promise. So I always like to have tips. So for a long time, I was wearing these extension lashes. So I was wearing these lashes, but I had to go every 2 weeks to get these lashes done. And it just became harder, your manicures, your pedicures, this beauty thing was just really consuming. And I just started resenting having to sit all the time and get all this and get them done all the time, although I love doing it. So I bought these magnetic lashes, and they're amazing because I can take my lashes off and put them on when I want to, take them off when I want to. I could be natural with no makeup if I want to. And sometimes I found like when you had the lashes on but you didn't want to wear makeup, it looked a little strange. And so I ended up doing these magnetic lashes, and they're Glamnetics. They're Glamnetic lashes, and I bought a pack which gave you like 5 different kinds, and each pack lasts like 80 or 60 uses or 80 uses. And so I had 5 of them. So I'm good for the whole year. And the Glamnetic lashes, this whole pack costs as much as one fill. 2 fills of having the extensions done. So it was a great savings, and I'm really loving the freedom that they're providing. So anyway, so if you guys are interested, that's where I got them. Let's see. Thank you, Sally. Appreciate that. Sarah says this connection's better now. Miss Sandy Clark, love you to pieces. How are you, darling? Nice to see you on here. Hearts to you too, Joyce. Thank you so much. Sandy Thompson is coming in from, is it Pennsylvania, darling? Lorianne Hamilton, hello, darling. Thank you for joining. Let's see if there's anyone else here. Hi, Lucy. St. Augustine, Florida. Wonderful. Hi, Monica. So happy to see you tonight. Anita says, thank you, Anita. Nice to have you on. Thank you. Hey, Kristen. How are you, honey? Thank you, Sarah Victor. The Shark Tank lashes. Yeah. The Shark Tank lashes, love that. Monica, which brand do you recommend for cucumber spray or the rose one? The rose water spritz I bought, I think at TJ Maxx or at Marshall's. That's where I buy them all the time. Sometimes Nordstrom's Rack, they have the bottles too. So there's one that I buy with like cucumber and what's that other, cantaloupe. They have the fragrance. It's really good for hydration, and so they have these spritzers. They're like $3.99 for the bottle. It's a big bottle, and I just can't live without it. I'm addicted. I'm hooked. I love it. I feel sometimes it works even better than face lotion, and so I just feel it really hydrates me. My face feels really smooth, and so I love them, and they're really inexpensive, and I really am a believer of them. So Nordstrom's Rack carries them, Marshall's carries them, TJ Maxx carries them, and of course. I think CVS actually has travel sizes, and CVS carries Rosewater Spritz too. So you can even go there if you have one. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Hi, Pauline. Let's see here. Let's see. Hi, guys. Hello, Insta. Hi, Pat. How are you, sweetheart? Hi, Lillian. Lillian. Hi, honey. I think that's my son's fiance is on. Hi, Lillian. We got a very special wedding coming up next year. So anyway, hey, I want to text you, Lillian, if you're on still. I want to text you in regards to the wedding dress look. shopping. So anyway, later. But okay, so what I want to talk about a little bit is goodbyes, because we were in Holland and it was really beautiful. And I got to tell you, so first of all, I'm just going to be transparent, and this isn't for everyone, and it's fine. It's not for everyone, but I am I am not, I am not afraid of death, and I'm not afraid of passing. And I love working with the spirit world, and I love working with loved ones on the other side, and I love funerals. And I don't mean that in a weird way. I mean that in a beautiful way. I feel like when you go to a funeral, it's about saying goodbye, right? Funerals are about saying goodbye, but I really think it's really different than really saying goodbye. I really think that funerals are about really sitting and celebrating the person, right? And when you sit and you are at the funeral, you are hearing about what they loved, who they loved, how they loved, um, things that they enjoyed, passions that they had in their life, things that they were interested in, quirks that they had, little habits that they did, funny stories about how they did things in life. You learn things about them that you never even knew about. And here you thought you knew so much about them, but there you find more things about them. And you learn so much about the person at a funeral. And I always leave a funeral just really appreciating that person so much more, and really understanding them so much more and deeper. And I always leave a funeral feeling just, I feel that they're more in my heart after a funeral. Do you guys feel that way? Do any of you guys feel that way in regards to a funeral? Because today, we have funerals so many different ways, different religions and cultures. We celebrate funerals in different ways, and some traditions, are different from one another in different cultures and religions. And, but all of them are just really beautiful, but they really are about celebrating who they are. And yet, we're there to say goodbye. But an interesting thing kind of happened, because I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to share something with you that kind of happened in Holland. Hi, Steve. Calling from Thousand Oaks. Love the sprays and everything you recommend. Thank you, my love. Hi, Maria. Sending hugs and love to you, and you too, Maria. So I'm in Holland. First of all, we fly in. We land at 8:30 in the morning. So another tip, really really quick, and I promise I'm going to get going. But another tip that you have to do when you travel overseas, you're traveling in time zone differences, right? And it's 8 or 9 hour difference in Holland and Amsterdam than it is in California, and so you had to adjust to that, right? So we landed at 8:30 in the morning, and so the trick to really not have jet lag, because when we got there, we didn't have time for jet lag. We had a lot we had to do. We had a funeral to put together. We had details to take care of. We had a memorial service to put on, and we had flowers to buy, and a lot of details to do, and let people know, and find a beautiful singer. And there's so much we had to do. We had a viewing, and so we didn't have any time for jet lag. And so the trick is really to stay on the time zone of whatever place you are landing. So we landed at 8:30 in the morning, although we flew through the night. We landed at 8:30, and so we had to stay up all day and all night. So we were up for a really long time. But when we went to sleep, we woke up at the right time the next day in that time zone, and so it really helps with jet lag. Just FYI, if you guys are traveling to Europe or anywhere with a long big time difference, you really want to get into that time zone ASAP to help with jet lag, so you don't miss any important days on your trip wherever it is that you're going. You want to be awake. And so anyway, so we went to Europe, and we went to Holland, and we landed, and within 3 hours we're already at the funeral home making arrangements. So we landed, we went to his sister's house, we went to the funeral home, and we prepared and made preparations. My husband and his siblings, really, I was just there as moral support at that part. But then after we did all the details, we had to prepare my husband's mom for a viewing. And so I did it with his sister, and I did it before with my husband's father. And where you really you dressed them, and I painted her nails, and we got her dressed and brushed her hair, and we washed her face, and I put makeup on her, and it was lovely. And some people may not feel comfortable really doing those kinds of things, but that was my mother-in-law, and I love her, and I was happy to be able to do that and to help her in that way. Now, so the viewing was for a couple of days, right? So we had it for 2 days, 1 hour on one day, and then the next day another hour, and then on the third day, we were there and to prepare her to go to the church, and she was laying in her beautiful casket that they selected for her, and my sister-in-law picked a beautiful outfit for her, and we put her in it, and we painted her nails all pretty, and the room was filled with flowers and everything. And it was interesting because sometimes people always say, do your loved ones hear you, or are they at the funeral, or are they do they know what's going on, are they aware of the preparations? And my answer is absolutely yes. They're absolutely aware of everything that's going on. Really, really, really 1,000%. So we are sitting at the third day, where we're getting ready to get my mother-in-law ready to go to the church for a gorgeous service. And we slide the lid on her beautiful coffin. We slide the lid, and as we're sliding the lid, his mother comes right here to me, and she says, "Whew, finally." And I was like, oh. So, I think she was really good with not having any more time having a viewing. I think that she was ready to move on to the beautiful church, and to the beautiful cemetery, which was beautiful. And so it was just so interesting, because there she was right to my right, and she came in and goes, finally. She's like, enough already. And just like that. So I just thought, oh, okay. So I knew she was right there in the room with us, and it was lovely. So anyway, they are with us when we are doing these arrangements. They're aware of all the gestures that you're doing and making. And so for all of you who have spent time with your loved ones preparing and making these wonderful, gestures for them, whether it be the cards, or picking the pictures, or the food, or contacting people to let them know of their passing, or selecting the flowers, or any of that, they are absolutely aware of everything that is going on, 100%. So I just want to kind of let you know that, because sometimes we get a little bit overwhelmed, and it's like, do they, am I picking the right thing? Did I put them in the right thing? Did I choose the right flowers? Did I, sometimes we'll second guess ourselves because we want everything to be just so right, and it always is. So just know that, okay? I remember having a reading with somebody, and this woman had come to me for a reading, and she was just, she hadn't had the funeral with her mom yet. So I brought in her mom, and through the information that I was receiving, the mom was talking a lot about kind of controlling the funeral, and like what she was wearing and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know, your mom's telling me that you picked this really beautiful navy dress, and it had a white lace, and you had these pearls here, and she's describing everything, and the daughter's like, oh my God, yes, I have it picked out, I have this, yes, everything. So there's pictures in the casket that's already selected for the casket. Yes. So the mom was aware of all of the things that the daughters were doing for her to prepare for this beautiful funeral that they were giving in honor of their mother. And then the mother came in and said, but one thing, I want to make sure you use this particular rosary. So anyway, it was kind of cute. So anyway, so they are definitely aware. Anyway, when we talk about goodbyes, we talk a lot about, it's hard to say goodbye. Now, for some of us, when we're going through saying goodbye, like for my husband, who, his mom struggled with Alzheimer's, and it was, a long battle. And many times when we went leading up to her passing, there was already goodbyes, because, of the longevity of her, having that. And so sometimes when we lose somebody who is struggling, who is suffering, who is not themselves, sometimes that goodbye could almost feel good, right? Because we're feeling so almost relieved for them that they are no longer, trapped in a particular illness, or no longer, struggling in the way that we see them. Would any of you agree with that? Does that make sense to all of you? Um, Hi, Lillian. Hi, Julie. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, does that? Sarah says, "Oh my God, sorry, I'm late on my little comments here." Evie says, "Whenever we get too sad and emotional, it doesn't affect our loved ones." No. Well, yeah, of course. When you get emotional and you get sad, of course. So here's the thing: like when we were doing the viewing, the mom was like, all right, finally, like she's like wanted to move on. She didn't want to pay too much more time doing that. She wanted to move it forward, and which in a way was very much her personality. So it completely makes sense. But yeah, none of our loved ones really want us sad, you see, but they also are in such gratitude for all that we've done for them and the things that we're doing to kind of honor them at this time. I think that when we put on a funeral, it's our opportunity to be able to give thanks to them, right? And so when we sit in a funeral, we are, that's our opportunity to celebrate the person that they are, the person they were in our life, even learn more about them, and carry them in our hearts in a better way. Because sometimes our loved ones, when they pass away, they don't always look like themselves, and when we have the funeral and we're able to be reminded of the beautiful soul that they are and the way that they lived their life and how they touched and affected our lives and other people's lives through stories that people share. It's such a beautiful thing. And so I find funerals really beautiful, and I don't find them really goodbyes, as I find them really more of just loving them deeper and having a different vision of them. It helps kind of erase what they maybe look like at the end of their life, because if they struggled with an illness or something, maybe not looking so good. And having those words and people sharing things about them makes us create a new image in our mind of, yeah, that was them. And I'm even learning more about them, And I just think that's really, it kind of keeps it here. And so we end up being able to kind of erase a little bit of what they maybe looked like when they passed, and we can keep a different vision in our minds and in our hearts of really who they were. And that's really what a funeral represents, is talking about who they really were and are, you see, are. So is what I just want to say. But, when you do death, when we talk about death, it kind of gets people uncomfortable when we do tarot card readings, and you get a reading and you get the death card. You're like, oh my gosh, oh my God, there's a death card. The death card in tarot is a positive card. It's not a negative card. It's a positive card. It's about rebirth. It's about renewal. It's about new beginnings. So it could be a renewal, a rebirth, a new beginning of, whatever that reading in a tarot, reading is doing. But a death card is about renewal and rebirth and new beginnings. And so when our loved ones go into the spirit world, it is their time for renewal. It's their healing. It's their place to have their soul kind of be whole again. When you struggle with years of Alzheimer's, you need renewal. And so the death card allows that. So death is really renewal. And when we lose a loved one, and they move on to the spirit world for their renewal, it is also a time for us to look at ourselves and say, there's a little bit of a renewal that is necessary for us as well. Because when we do lose somebody in our life that is so close to our hearts, our child, our husband, our mother, our significant other, our father, whoever it is that we loved, we kind of need to have a little bit of a renewal too, through that, through this, because, we have struggled as well, just like the person who had Alzheimer's. We struggle with the process of seeing our loved ones struggle or having to say goodbye, right? But Is it really goodbye? So, first of all, death is not something to be afraid of, and it's not something to feel scared about. Death is renewal, it's rebirth. And remember that, okay? So just know that that is where your loved ones sit and reside, in renewal and in rebirth. So that's a beautiful thing. And so I just want to kind of give that as a little bit of an analogy, is just to kind of maybe see it that way a little bit. But when we do lose somebody and we have to say goodbye and it's really, really hard, why is it so sad? Why are goodbyes so sad? Right? So let's talk about that a little bit. Why is it? Hi, Debbie. I want to hear you, but you are fading in and out. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm in a new location here, so I'm hoping it's okay. Is the internet okay, guys? Hey, Kathy. Oh, Monica, what a funny and lovely message for all of us. Yes, we are relieved that they are free from pain and suffering. I think the most important thing at funerals is remembering the funny, good, memorable times we spend. Yes, because we keep that in our heart, and that is the reminder we get to leave with, not how they looked or what they struggled with, but the beautiful person that they were and are, and how they touched our life, and how they touched the lives of others, and how much we loved them, and how much they loved us. And that is something to be celebrated. And it actually kind of gets me emotional when I talk about that, because, like my sister-in-law, she did so much for her mom, she did so much for her mom. And I know that that will still be a struggle for her, because of that. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but, obviously it takes time and we have to be patient with our healing process. But why are goodbyes so sad? It's because we often sometimes think of a goodbye of what we had and what we lost, opposed to what they gave us and how they made us feel. And I think that when we lose somebody and we need to say goodbye, it feels so forever. It feels so all the time. It feels like it's the goodbye. That's it. That's forever. And I'm telling you, it is not forever. It's goodbye is not forever. There is a word, and it's called eternity. And so many of us, when we say goodbye, we think that that's it. That's goodbye, and there's no more. And it's just not the case. We struggle with our goodbyes because we think that it's the end of them and us in our life story. And it is not the case. It is not the end of your life story with those that you love that have transitioned into the spirit world. They are always connected to you, and they are always a part of your story. Always. That never, ever changes. So I want you to really feel that a little bit, and I'll give you a couple examples, because I always believe examples kind of help teach. And so I'll give you an example. So here we have, when we have a goodbye, we think it's forever, and that's it, and that's just not it. We have eternity. Eternity is forever. You are connected to your loved ones through eternity, and you are continuing your life here. They transition to the spirit world, but they are still a part of your life. They watch you, they follow you, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. So a woman who came to me, who I brought in her mother, and her mother passed away when she was 14 months old. So her mother passed away when she was 14 months old. Now, when she came to me, I didn't know she had a mom in spirit. I just instantly felt the mom. But what was strange about this story, what was strange about this reading, what was strange about it is all the information was a very different evidence. I'm an evidential medium, so I'm bringing through evidential information, things that you can identify and absolutely know to be so about your loved one in spirit, evidential mediumship. But this particular reading was this mom that kept talking about her daughter's life from the time she was little all the way to the time that she got married. So she spoke about how she played hopscotch in the front of her house with little Darla skirts from like Little Rascal, really short little skirts, how she would go into this little tree in the front of her house, and nobody could see that she was up in this tree, but she could see down. And the woman said, absolutely, I used to always do that. Nobody could see it. Just where I used to hide. That she would hide under the table when her father would play poker and smoke cigars. And she's like, oh my God, yes, that's exactly what I did. And she was telling all these stories, like how she played on the train tracks and how she would play outside in town in the train tracks. And the woman said, oh my gosh, yes, I did do that. Like there was a bakery, we used to always get this bread, and then we'd go play on the train tracks. And that's true. And I said, and then she told me that you missed your first day of high school because your hair was green, and from swimming in the summer you didn't go to school because your hair was too green. And she says, oh my God, that absolutely happened. Yes, that did happen. So the mother was giving this entire timeline. She talked about, so she tells me you have a photograph of her. She tells me that there's this picture in your bathroom of a woman putting on lipstick in a mirror. And she says, it's my mother. Yes, it's my mother. And I have a picture of her putting on lipstick, and she's looking in a mirror, and there's someone who took a picture of her doing that. And I said, wonderful. But what's interesting about this is she was talking about all of these things that her daughter has, all these things her daughter was doing from a young age all the way up. And what was beautiful about this is that this woman came to me at the end of the reading. She said, Monica, I came here today because I lost my mom when I was 14 months old. I never knew her. Nobody in the family wanted to talk about her. They didn't want to make it sad. They didn't want, they didn't want the sadness. So no one spoke really about her. And so I didn't know much about my mom. See, the mother knew that. So an evidential reading about bringing up everything about her mom would be like, right? Because the woman didn't know that much about her mom. But what she wanted to know was my mother with me through my life? Does my mom know me? Now, this woman has a life. And she has a life story, and her mom was in life until she was 14 months old, and then she transitioned. And then her whole life, this mother comes in from spirit and gives an entire timeline of her daughter's life to let her daughter know that she is still part of her life story. Think about that for a second. Can you understand the healing that happened with that beautiful woman? How she now got the answers that she had wondered for 50 years. Does my mom know me? Does she know my life? Not only does she know her life, but she is still part of her life story, you see. And there is a woman that came to me, and I brought in a young child of hers. And she had a young child that I brought in from spirit. And since the passing of that young child, this woman had another child. And this other child was about 3 or 4, 3. And this baby in spirit, this young child in spirit, came in and spoke about how the little boy had a fire engine truck, a toy, that the baby says, I always make the fire engine siren go off because I want. And the mother says, oh my God, yes, I don't understand. We've tried everything. We've taken out the batteries. We've done everything to make that fire engine stop sirening going off every time. It just kept going off. And it was really that little guy in spirit, playing with his sibling that came after he passed. And that's a wonderful analogy now for the mother to know that every time that fire engine goes off in that truck, she says, now I know it's my son in spirit that's coming in. And he's with my other son playing with his sibling. And that gives a lot of comfort, doesn't it? And it's a way also for you to understand that they are not gone. They are still a part of your story. This little baby was still a part of the family, and being there playing with his sibling and using the fire engine as evidence to let mom know, that's me. I'm doing that. I'm playing with my brother, you see. So how beautiful is that? Now, yesterday, there was a photograph, and it was a photograph that I got of a picture of a son and a mother doing a dance at the son's wedding. And one of the guests were taking pictures at the wedding, like snapping quick. And there was this series of a couple of snaps, right? And The second shot that was shot, there was a picture of a woman coming in from spirit. Like, no joke. Like, I was a photographer for 24 years, and this was an incredible photograph. And it was only in one shot. It wasn't the first, it wasn't the third or fourth, it was the second image that was taken. It was in this fast frame. And it came, and this woman was all dressed up, and she was watching the mom and the son dancing at the wedding. So our loved ones are still part of our story. They're still watching our life. They're still watching our life story. They are not a part of it anymore. So I want you to kind of understand that, because our goodbyes don't have to be so sad. If we can know and understand in our heart that they're still with us, still around us, still watching over us, then that, I believe, gives good comfort, does it not? And to know that they're still around you. So I just want to kind of touch base about that. Hi, Tracy, beautiful, she says. Hello. Sandy Clark, that gives me chills. Great story. Always gives me comfort to be reminded that my son and mom are still with me. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, like, this picture that came in that I just yesterday, amazing. Like, amazing. Like, this, I would love to post it. I wonder if I can get permission to post it. I would love to post it so you can see. They come to our celebrations. Our loved ones show up to our celebrations, to our weddings, to our birthdays. They come to their funeral. They show up. Of course they do. They love you. That doesn't change. Just because they're in spirit doesn't mean they're no longer a part of your story. So why are goodbyes sad? Only because we think they're no longer part of our story, and they are still part of our story. So how do we help ourselves lighten that sadness? Well, by first spending more time, instead of what did we lose, how about everything they gave us? That's a form of gratitude. And in that state of gratitude will help elevate us up a little bit. And when you elevate up, the sadness dissipates, right? So by doing that, so that's one way that you could kind of do that, is by really just understanding that sometimes when we're grieving, we are spending a lot of focus on what we've lost and what is no more, instead of what was, how amazing it was, everything they've given to us, instead of what has now changed. Do you see what I'm saying? And if we can just keep our focus into the gratitude of how this person gave beauty in our life and how they touched our life. And I have a wonderful quote I'm going to share later about that. I think that will help elevate our sadness a little bit as well, because I think that sometimes we feel sad when we say goodbye because we think it's the end of our story in our life with them, and it just isn't so. Our story continues, and they are always a part of our story, always. And so how do we kind of fix that a little bit? How do we make it so that we can kind of, lighten that sadness a little bit, and maybe flip it a little bit where we have it a little bit easier? And, sometimes for some of us, we struggle because maybe we weren't able to say goodbye. And maybe that not being able to say goodbye at that time, we missed the passing. They passed before we got there. We wanted to go there. And I mean, that happened with my husband. We didn't make it in time. It was a long flight. We didn't make it. But sometimes when we are grieving a little bit too, we get stuck a little bit in the I wish I could have, I wish I needed, I wish I should have, I wish I could have done this, I wish I should have done this. Listen, your loved ones are grateful for whatever you have done for them, whether it be this much or this much. They're not in the spirit world saying, you only did this. No. They're saying, thank you for this. Thank you for this. They're not saying, but you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and you could have been. None of that. So sometimes we keep a lot of sadness in our hearts because we think we should have shown up differently or we should have done more. And it's just not the case. I give readings every single day. And There is nothing I love more than giving readings. I love being a medium. And I can say with great confidence that your loved ones in spirit are very grateful for what you have done for them, whether it be this much or this much. They are not with a measuring tape measuring the amount that you have done for them, only that they are in gratitude of what you've done for them. So I want you to know that to help you also. So as you have had to say goodbye, to understand that they are very grateful for you being in their life, and we can sit in gratitude that they were in ours. And if we stay focused there a little bit more, opposed to, what we lost, and instead say, look at all that we had, look at everything we shared, look at all that we did together, how lucky. And there's another quote I'm going to share about that as well. So that's just kind of something. But for some people, like for instance, who maybe didn't, some of us didn't get funerals because of COVID, right? Some of us didn't get funerals because of COVID. And, and that's really tough. And my heart goes out to all of you, because those funerals are a way of helping us through this process, and to be able to, as I said earlier, to really keep them in our heart in a special way, as we're reminded of the beautiful soul that they are and are continuing to be. But sometimes what we can do is, like, I just know through readings, sometimes planting a tree in their honor is really something, is a wonderful way of saying, not goodbye, but until you come and visit again, right? Or until I see you again. And this is just my way of letting you know I'm always thinking about you. And the best thing to do about helping with these goodbyes and helping us through the sadness is by not stopping keeping them part of your life story. I really believe that it's important to keep them in your life story, to keep them in it. Like, do something. If it's their birthday, bake them a cake, right? Put an ornament on the Christmas tree. Have a little gesture for them at the holiday. Light a candle when it's the passing of their transition to spirit. Do a little garden, or a little section in your little garden, or a little chime, or a little something. Believe me, they see it all. They see it all. They don't miss a thing. They don't miss a thing. They see all of it. And it's a way of just it's doing things like this, or journaling, or writing a poem, or if you're creative, write a song, or do some clients make a blanket in all of their clothing, and that is so wonderful that they could keep in the house. And every time they see the blanket, oh, there you are. There's part, and it keeps them a part of your life. And I think that a wonderful way to help uplift you a little bit, and to make the goodbyes more uplifting, because there's eternity, it's not really a goodbye, is to keep them in your life story, and to stop thinking that they're gone and not in your life anymore, because they are. Because the woman at the wedding was watching them dancing on the dance floor, because the mother came in and gave her daughter a timeline of everything that she had done in her life, from the time she was 5 till the time she got married, down to who she married, and that he was from a high school or a school friendship. It was so particular, and how comforting to know, yeah, my mom does know me. She's always around me. She's watched my whole life. She is a part of my life. And I just think so much of us will feel better when we can know that they are still a part of our lives, and that we make them still a part of ours, right? By celebrating them and keeping them in your life. Keep the pictures out. Don't hide them. I remember bringing in a dad who was talking with his daughter, and how they had a really rough relationship, and how he and his mom, he and his wife had a really tough relationship, and then the wife transitioned, and then the mother came in, and the father came in, and the mother says, if I can forgive him, and I can make this amends, and you can too. And the father said, she keeps a black and white picture in her nightstand of me in her bedroom. I would love to see it come out. Blew the daughter away. And she says, I have a picture of my dad in black and white in my nightstand in my bedroom. Oh my God. And she was like, this is unbelievable. And it was her father's way of saying, listen, I'm not the same guy in the same way. I've grown. I see my errors. I know I made some mistakes, but if mom can forgive me, if mom comes in and says, she can you? And it was such a healing moment for that daughter in that reading. And, so the dad knew that she kept the picture of him in the drawer. So they are all still part of our life. And I just think it would be wonderful for us to begin to acknowledge that they are very close and aware of everything that's going on. And I think that gives a lot of comfort, and it makes those goodbyes more of, can't wait to have you come visit again. Can't wait to hear from you. I know that you're around me. Keep being around me. I love it. I know it. Thank you. And I just think that is just maybe a nicer way. And maybe when you do that, you won't think of goodbyes as so sad. What do you think about that? It's just my take on it. Again, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. I'm just sharing. But what does that feel like for you? Let's see. Good evening to you, Pat. Hi, Annie. Hi, Real Magic Sean. How are you? Hi, Anita. How are you? Big hugs. A very close friend of 35 years past. We'll miss him dearly. Also, Tontorit. Oh, yes. Wonderful woman. My heart goes out to you guys. Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you, honey. Thanks for being on here. Hi, all of you guys on Insta. Thanks. Hey, Lorena. How are you? Hey, Sadhna. How are you? Hi, Sandra. Sandra, hi. You know why I'm smiling about you, huh? You know why. What do you think about that? Tracy, I make mom and dad's favorite meal and dessert. Yeah, that's another thing. Don't stop making their favorite meals. Honor them and know that they're around. And believe me, do you know how many people in spirit have come in and they have come in and said, they tell me that you just made their favorite dish last night. And they're like, oh my God, I did. I just made their favorite dish last night. They want you so much to know that they are still in your life. They want you so much to know that they are still around you. You have no idea. I mean, reading after reading after reading, in different ways they give it, but it's always so perfect for the client. And, so that happens, yes, because they're in the kitchen, and so they're in the kitchen and they're aware of what you're doing. They are still part of your life story. They are still part of your life. And really, in a big way. And I want you to know that. Okay, Kathy, it makes me feel a lot better. Good. Evie, it helps us healing, knowing that they're still with us in spirit. They absolutely are. Julie, I believe this, but what if you cannot feel your loved ones around you? Listen, it doesn't matter if you feel them or not. I know we all want to, but sometimes, they stand here. Your auric field is here. They got to move into your auric field for you to really kind of feel them. They got to step in closer. So sometimes they kind of just watch from here, so you may not feel them, but that doesn't mean that they're not with you. That doesn't mean they're not watching you just because they didn't step in close into your auric field. That doesn't mean that they're not watching you, right? That doesn't mean that beautiful woman whose mama came in, that doesn't mean that mama wasn't close just because she was watching her, just because she didn't step into the auric field and she didn't feel her mother all her life growing up. This doesn't mean her mama came in and gave her all of this. And it's a reading that I will never, ever forget. It was beautiful. And what a gorgeous mom to know exactly what to say for her daughter. Perfect. But maybe the mom was here. That doesn't mean they're not part of your life story. You don't have to feel them for them to be there. Let's see, Kathy. The timeline is very touching and so helpful that we are still here. I think that I miss is their actual physical presence. Of course. Listen, is it different because, we can't hug them? Yes. So is it needed to kind of adjust to a new way of having them in your life story? Yes. But they are still part of your life story. And in life, doesn't things change anyway? Everything in life changes. Nothing stays the same. So, and even relationships that you have in friendships, don't sometimes those friendships change? Don't sometimes those relationships in life, and they're still, alive and they're living in the physical, but sometimes those relationships change too. They take different shape, right, in your life. You can understand that, right? I was just having a conversation with my girlfriend when we were driving today, and she asked me about a friend from high school that we were like besties, and we kind of stopped communicating. And I forgot what I was going with. Why did I talk about that? I don't even remember why I even mentioned that. Oh my God. What was the point to that? There was a point. I don't remember it. Oh. Anyway, now I don't remember. But gosh, what was the point? All right. I don't know. I can't remember now. Anyway, maybe it'll come back to me. When your dog passes, are they with you always? Is he with my mom in heaven? Um, yes. Well, I mean, I can't tell you if he's with your mom in heaven because I haven't done a reading where I brought in your dog with your mother. But dogs are in heaven and loved ones are in heaven. And if there's a connection and love with you and your dog, and there's a love connection with you and your mom, then of course they would be together, especially if they come in for a reading, right? Because they both love you. Your dogs love you, your mom loves you. Why would they not be together? You know, I mean, sometimes we make it harder than it needs to be. Keep it simple, guys. Your loved ones in spirit love you. Of course, they're with you. And if you have a dog that you loved and your loved one knows it, of course, they're going to be with your dog or your cat or your bird, you know? Um, when my mother-in-law passed, when she was in the viewing, I said, gosh, I don't know, did your mom have a lot of birds? Because I felt her with all these birds. And they said, yeah, she had several. So, you know. Hi, Susan. How are you, honey? Hey, Kim. I can never get enough of this reminder. Thank you, Monica. You're welcome, Kim. Kathy says, me too. Sandy Clark, why the relationship changed? Are you asking me about my girlfriend? Why did my relationship change? You know, sometimes our roads kind of go in different directions. You know, listen, I always talk about relationships like riding the bus. Sometimes we have people that get on the bus with us in our life, the bus, our bus of life, and they stay on the ride the whole time. Sometimes those step off the bus. And sometimes later on, they come back on, and sometimes we just don't have that connection anymore. And for my friend and I, it was just we were no longer aligned. Let's just say that. So anyway, but always wish her love. So and you know, and it's okay. And sometimes, you know, our relationships change in our life. And sometimes you might have a bestie, and then all of a sudden something happens. So now you're kind of good friends, but you're not really feeling the bestiness anymore. You know, so the relationship changed a little bit because we change. What we like and what we need and what we are inspired to do changes, right? Because we as people are changing. We as our souls are evolving. So of course we're going to change, and sometimes that means some people no longer kind of fit in that in the same way. And so those relationship changes. So our loved ones in spirit, it's the same. So it's about us just understanding that the relationship is still there, but how we are having this relationship has shifted a little bit. It's changed a little bit. And so there's new ways of now how we connect, communicate, send love to them, but always know they're with you because they love you. What do you guys think about this live? Do you like this live? Let me know. Let me know. Let's see. Hi, you guys. Hi, all of you on Insta. How you guys doing? Thank you guys all for being here. As always, I needed to hear this, Pat says. Wonderful. Strong Tika. Hey, honey, how are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming on. Anyway, so I hope you guys are enjoying this a little bit. I just thought it was a nice thing to kind of do because, you know, it had been a little bit since, you know, I had done this just kind of triggered a lot of things. You know, being in Holland, it triggered some things and made me just kind of think a little bit about, you know, funerals and goodbyes. And I thought, you know what, we all kind of have that in common. Me and all of you, you know, we all have, you know, someone we love that's in the spirit world. And so we all kind of connect in some way about that. So it's just me kind of coming in here today, kind of sharing a little bit of my heart and my take on it. And I hope it resonates with you. Obviously, take the words that I say that resonate in your heart and, you know, leave what doesn't, you know. It's just me sharing and wanting to give you something to feel a little bit more uplifted, to kind of help you a little bit in this process of this journey of healing, of maybe seeing goodbyes a little bit differently, maybe approaching goodbyes a little bit differently, as I'm always wanting to uplift you. I'm always wanting to, you know, help you in any way that I can through my experience as a medium, and And that's it. So, I'm just about sharing. And so I love so much that you all kind of came on today. Do you guys have any questions for me? Any questions at all? Let me know. Let's see. How you guys doing? Let's see. Um, I think Sandy helped you get back on track. Your friend got off the bus. How great. You just answered my question. Okay, good, perfect. Okay. Maria, thank you, Monica, for letting me know. That makes me cry and smile knowing that they are together and watching over me. This live is awesome. Really needed it. Wonderful. Hi, Leslie. Yes, very interesting. Good. Okay. I love this live, Lynn says. Wonderful. I need to hear all of this, even though I believe and know it. Sometimes, right? Sometimes, even though we know, sometimes we just need a space where we can just come together and just talk it out a little bit. Right? And that's why I do my lives. I just want to take a topic and just talk a little bit about it. It just kind of helps open our hearts. And when our hearts can open, we can get a little healed, maybe a little bit of information, some words that we hear, whether through the comments or through my words. It helps us a little bit forward. We help each other a little bit forward. And I love that. And, that's always my goal here. And so I thank you guys so much for coming on. I have quotes. I don't want to forget because I worked hard on those. So hang on, let me just see. Okay, and just other things really just to kind of help you with saying goodbyes. And really this is like for somebody who weren't able to say their goodbyes or weren't able to have a funeral or, because there was a lot of restrictions last year and all of that. And I'm very aware of that. And so, a couple things, you can write a letter to them. And I know that some clients have done that and that has really been helpful. Sometimes clients journal every day and they write like a little letter to their loved ones every day. And I worked with some people in some of my life readings and sessions who were struggling a little bit. And that was an exercise that I had them do. And every time they met with me, they had to read what they wrote to help open that heart and to help that grieving process a little bit. So I believe in writing letters to them every week or every day for a week or, just to kind of get it out, is a wonderful thing. Planting a tree, raising money for charity. I know there's clients that have taken on charities in honor of their loved ones. I know a client of mine that did a charity for animals and they named it after their daughter. So that was, that's a lovely thing. Not everybody wants to do a charity. It's totally fine if you don't. You can plant a tree. You can, plant a special little something in your yard. You can light a candle on their anniversary of their passing. You can make them a birthday cake on their birthday. I have a client that I brought in her daughter. She came in a princess dress and it was her birthday and she made me aware that her mother always makes her birthday cakes and her mother said, yes, I do every year for her birthday. And she was 14, right? But she showed up in a princess dress because that is how she was laid to rest, in a princess dress. And so she came in that way. And that's really just, not that she's still 4, because it had been many years now since she passed, but her mom always still did the cake. But it was her daughter wanting her to know. And that's evident as she came in the princess dress, because that's how her mom laid her to rest. And that's how she showed up for me first. And then she talked about these birthday cakes that her mom makes her for her birthday. So again, your loved ones are still part of your story. They're still part of your life. And they're so very much involved in the things that you're doing. And I want you to know that because it's just so true. And every reading gives me more and more confidence and a surety and knowing with absolute certainty that this is so. And I hold strong on that because of all the readings that I give. So, also, what else did I write here? Oh, make a memory board. Sometimes that's fun. If you're kind of a creative person and you have lots of pictures and stuff, it's kind of fun. You maybe even pull things out of magazines that remind you of your loved ones. You can create like a little vision board, a memory board. That's kind of fun. Some people even frame them, which is kind of cool. Let me see if there's something else. Oh, making a blanket. I think I talked about that, or making a blanket out of their T-shirts, or some people like wear their loved ones' shirts. I get a lot of readings that come in that way too, that their loved ones love that they honor in that way. So there's lots of ways to keep them close to you. There's lots of ways to keep them included in your life. But please keep the pictures out. Celebrate them on their birthdays, and many of you probably do that. I'm just saying. That's a wonderful way to keep them a part of your life because they are definitely a part of yours. So is what I want to say. Quotes. Okay, so I have some quotes. All right, let me see here what I have. Okay, so I have a few, so hang on. Okay, you guys cool to hear a couple quotes? Would that be good? Tonight is so interesting, Arlene says. Chris says, I'm here. I missed you. Sorry I'm late. That's okay, honey. You can even watch the rerun. I really needed to hear this live tonight. Loved it, Sandy says. Wonderful. Lisa, love this live. Thank you, Monica. Perfect. Hey, Michelle. How are ya? Marilyn, I really needed to hear this tonight. My husband passed in March. I know he's with me, but this week has been difficult. Thank you. Perfect. I'm so happy that the live has helped you a little bit and to give you reassurance to know that just because they've gone to spirit, they have not gone from your life. And I think that our grieving will help us. It'll get easier if we can really know and understand that. And so that's why I like to share these little stories. Thank you so much. Mandy says this really has helped remind us that they are still with us. Really needed to hear it. Love it. Mandy is from Texas. Hey, Mandy from Texas. Evie, you're such an inspiration, Monica, and a beautiful healer. Thank you, sweetheart. That's very kind. My gosh. Tracy says, my son doesn't speak, but I find him laughing and looking at the ceiling or sky. Is he seeing my parents? Absolutely, because your parents were a very big part of your son's life. And of course, they're going to stay close to him. Absolutely. And I think also when you have somebody that is autistic or has autism, or they're sometimes very attuned to the spirit world, So yes, Tracy, I do believe that would be so. Hi, Leslie. I appreciated you talking about how they don't hold things against us by thinking they are mad at me for things I didn't do or things I should have done better for them before they pass. Yeah, I'm really happy about that because, that is something I get sometimes in readings when the loved ones come in. Sometimes my clients are like overwhelmed with the gratitude that the loved one shows about a specific thing that they did for them. And the client not thinking that that's enough. And listen, again, they do not measure what you do, how much you do. They only measure that piece that you did, that they come in gratitude for that. And they really do come in gratitude, that it doesn't matter how much, they're thankful for it. And that's where their focus is. And what I love about the spirit world and what I love about your loved ones in spirit is they stay focused on the gratitude and they stay focused on what is right. They don't put a lot of emphasis, focus on things that are not right. They keep it uplifted. And I love that, but they do that because they want to keep you uplifted. So know that, okay? I want you to understand that when you do mediumship readings, they come forward because they want to lift you, because they love you, and they don't want you to have the burden like this gal here who says, I think I didn't do enough or anything like that. They don't want you to feel that way, and that's why they'll come in with evidence about something particular about that to help you, so you know it's them and that you can understand that this is so, you see. So I'm glad that helped you. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Is there anything else? Going through all these. I know I missed a bunch here. Sorry, there's so many. Let's see here. Sally Snyder, I've struggled with goodbyes all my life. I was adopted and I read the separation from my mom at birth was my first experience with trauma, even though I don't remember it. But listening to you is making me think maybe this is why. I'm loving this. Wonderful. I'm loving this message tonight. Thank you. Have had a hard time with goodbyes, not just in death, but everything in life. I would always cry saying goodbye to everything and everyone. I'm working on this. Perfect. Because if we focus on what it gave us, opposed to what we're losing, how it made us feel, opposed to how am I going to be? If we can stay in that emphasis of gratitude, that keeps our spirit lifted. And when our spirit is lifted, we are less sad. When our vibration is lifted, we are less sad. I just did this whole conversation with the girlfriend in my car. We drove 4 hours to get here. And we spoke a lot about that, and we talked about vibration and the importance of keeping our energy up. And so I did a big thing with her in the car for many hours. We talked about meditation, and we talked about gosh, we talked about so many things, spirit guides, and we talked about how to connect with them, and we talked about, how to sleep better, and how to clear our mind, and and we talked about so many wonderful things, and so it was such a wonderful 4-hour drive, just in that wonderful flow of energy, of upliftment, of just the conversations that we had, that in itself was uplifting, so. Anyway, okay, guys, so let me see. I think we're pretty much good here. Let me just see. Is there anything else? Hi, Joanna. That is what I'm scared of, the unknown, of not knowing if I will see my son again. I understand that. I absolutely understand that. And I think, honey, all of us feel that a little bit. Will I ever see them again? And the answer is you will absolutely see them again. If I am a clairvoyant and I can see loved ones, and I can see loved ones coming in and communicating with me, and I see their face, and they show me what they're wearing, and I see their hair, I see there's something about it. They're still there. So of course you're going to still see them. Of course you're going to see them. That time will come when it's the time. Until then, know that he's still part of your life and part of your story. And know that he is loving you every minute of your life and of your story, and really enjoying being a part of it. Know that is so. Yeah. Any other questions before I tune out? I said I was going to make a fast live, but here I am at an hour again. I just can't help it. Dang it. Chris says, I lost my brother tragically last week. I will listen to replay. Please do. And also, Chris, there's also, I have so many videos on my website on different topics. If you go to my video page, there's lots of different lives that I've done on different topics, and different spirit stories that I've shared, and different things. So maybe play around with different topics that I had, and see if there's others that resonate with you as well, to kind of help you with that, honey. Okay, so, and I'm very sorry for your loss. I'm very sorry for that. Yeah, you're getting a lot of support here, honey. Erin, you're getting a lot of support here from others, wishing you well. So I love that. What a beautiful community we have here. Okay, perfect. So I guess we're going to chime out. I quote, sorry. Okay, dang it. Okay, all right, here I go. All right. Goodbyes are only for those who love with their eyes, because for those who love with the heart and soul, there is no such thing as separation. Right? There's no such thing for separation. How lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard? So think about that. So again, that's kind of being in the gratitude. I'm saying goodbye, and that's really hard. But how lucky am I that I had such love, and I loved something and someone so much that I have the pleasure of having this hard time of saying goodbye, because I was gifted with that wonderful person in my life. So, if we stay in that gratitude section, you know what I mean? Stay in that part of it. Does that make sense? Goodbyes are not forever. Goodbyes are not the end. They simply mean I'll miss you until we meet again. So that's for you, Joanna. There are no goodbyes for us. Wherever you are, you will always be in my heart. This is not a goodbye to you, darling. This is a thank you. Thank you for coming into my life and giving me joy. Thank you for loving me and receiving my love in return. Thank you for the memories I will cherish forever. You can shed tears that they are gone, or you can smile because they lived. You can close your eyes and pray that they will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that they have left you. Death is the last chapter in time, but the first chapter in eternity. Love is stronger than death, even though you cannot stop death from happening. But no matter how hard death tries, it cannot separate people from love. It cannot take away our memories either. In the end, life is stronger than death. I love that one. One day we will remember how lucky we were to have known their love with wonder, not with grief. And I think that's where we're all kind of trying to strive towards. And that's going to be different for all of us. And it's going to be a different timetable for all of us. But I think we're all trying to strive to get to that place of one day we will remember how lucky we were to have known their love with wonder, not grief. And I think that's why sometimes, like in the funeral where you sit, you just have such a greater love for them, because in the funeral service you learn even more about them through other people's stories that they share, and the things that they were passionate about, and the things that they loved, and the way they did things in life, and it's just, you know anyway, I love all you guys. And I thank you all so much for chiming in here tonight with me. And I hope you enjoyed this evening. And I thank you so much for spending a whole hour with me tonight. And I will not be on next week, but I will be on the week after. All right. So I am so grateful that you guys spend time with me and that you are willing to give a whole hour of your time to be with me. I thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful to be able to help you in even the smallest, littlest way. That makes me really happy. So I am going to chime out, and I wish you guys a wonderful evening. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And until next time, we'll see you again. Okay? Bye.